Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the After Hours 420 special. I am your host with the most, Graveyard J.
And this is Lil Democulus.
You already know how we do shit here. We like to bullshit around, do drugs, drink alcohol. That's what we do. Talk shit.
Talk shit.
Let's go ahead and introduce the audience today.
They are extremely inebriated right now. They are hanging on by a thread to even make a presence, but we are happy they're here.
We fed all of them 10,000 milligrams of THC edibles before they came in the door.
Every single one each. You know what I'm saying? This ain't like when you buy the pack of gummies and it says in big numbers 10,000 and then have 1,000 or 500 for one gummy in like small print.
No, this is like
false advertising.
Yeah, this is 10,000 in one. Yeah.
It literally looks like a death pill. Like it has a skull and crossbones on it.
We had to sign a lot of waivers.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're here. Thomas McBunkle is back from the dead again. Sadly, he passed away after last episode again, but before we could even announce it, he, resurrected himself just so he could show up for his shift, because that right there is dedication. We love you, Thomas McBunkle.
Thomas McBunkle he's a staple in this community. I mean, and hey, to raise from the dead like that's pretty crazy. That's 4 for 4. Jesus, Lazarus, the Crow, Thomas McBunkle.
Yep.
Wonderful.
It's like Bones in that scary Snoop Dogg movie.
Bones too.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's 5 for 5. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things about people being resurrected, but
excuse the transformer noise right then. Starscream just flew by the studio and tried to blow us up, but he missed.
Yeah, because he's a little bitch. If you remember correctly, he was always up either Megatron's ass or he was trying to betray Megatron.
Which is some bullshit because I'm a big Decepticon fan. I fuck
Same here.
All hail Megatron all day.
All hail Unicron.
Can't touch my boy.
All hail Unicron.
Nah, Megatron's my man.
Megatron's my man. Unicron's not really a man. He's just kind of like, big ass thing.
Yeah, he's just this looming figure. But the thing about Unicrons, we ever really seen him do all that much? I mean, come on.
That's true. Now, one of the things that I always like is that, my brother and I grew up in the generation that really, really grew up with the Michael Bay movies. That's what we remember. However, I love the first generation cartoon. Now, some people forget that Megatron, his transformation, the Decepticons got planes, right? That was their main thing, is they had planes. If you remember correctly, Megatron was a gun.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't like about the original cartoon. How are you going to make the big bad dude going to turn into a gun to be used by somebody else? That's whack.
Yeah, it sounds like that, but you have to admit, like, Soundwave going around shooting Megatron off is pretty cool.
Yeah, but Soundwave is also, like, kind of a D-to-D of the Decepticons, if you think about it.
He's a D-to-D in the sense only that he's mindless except to do Megatron's bidding, and he's not a D-to-D. He
kind of is.
Is he? He may be in the later cartoons where they may be a little bit more like for entertainment value, but I don't buy that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I will say, it's just a fun tidbit of information for all you movie buffs and just weird stuff out there. The guy who plays Jazz in the original cartoon for the Autobots is none other than Scatman Crothers, who you might know as one of two people, either as the the security guard, orderly guy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
yep,
or the dude who caught the massive axe wound to the chest from Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Yeah.
Massive. I mean, it's just, he's like, hello? Anybody around there? Thunk.
And like that sound effect.
Yeah, I mean, I love that movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but that's one thing I do remember. Kubrick is a great director and all.
Stanley Kubrick, good director.
Some of his movies are a little overrated.
Also a total psychopath.
Complete. Just ask Shelley Duvall.
You can also ask Scatman Crothers. We were just talking about him.
Did you have an interview or something?
So, You know that scene where he's talking to the kid who's Danny when he's talking to Danny?
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick made him reshoot that scene like over 100 times until he got it exactly how he wanted it. And it's just like it's a little minute detail of the scene. It's not even that much. But he just kept making him do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It drove him fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah. Um, but I love Scatman Crothers for a lot of things. He's in a. I don't know if anybody out there knows who Ralph Bakshi is. Probably that sounds pretentious. If you don't know who this guy is, but Scatman Crothers did some voice acting for one of his movies. But it's just a nice thing to see him around in things. But anyway, it is 420, and I did see for the first time last night Up in Smoke, and it is such a off the wall movie. It doesn't feel like it has the sincerity of movies made around that time, but that's the good part is that it just totally is a standout.
Yeah, it's it's the Cheech and Chong movie, honestly. It's
Yeah.
the best one.
Yeah, and apparently I don't know, there's like four. It's like Home Alone, except Home Alone had a good sequel.
Yeah. 3 is surprisingly good. 4, you can forget about it.
Home Alone 3?
Yeah. I like Home Alone 3.
I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. Now, if y'all remember, they used to play the shit out of that. Was it Cartoon Network or
Cartoon
Nickelodeon
Network.
that had Friday night movies?
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, the Cartoon Network would play it on Fridays. They call it Film Fridays or some shit.
They would do it mostly around Christmas. I mean,
No, they would always. One channel would do movies every Friday. Would do one. I think it was Nickelodeon.
well, yeah, Cartoon Network always did movies on Fridays, but I'm talking about when they showed Home Alone 3. It was always around Christmas.
Shout out to those who remember when they would play Big Fat Liar every year at some point.
Classic.
Classic. Oh my god.
Shout out to Frankie Munoz wherever you are, bro.
Absolutely, and shout out to the guy. What was it? It was John Ritter, wasn't it? Or am I tripping?
John, maybe.
You know, Sling Blade, the gay dude. More importantly, the guy from Married with Children. Right? No, I'm tripping out.
Yeah,
It's
I think
not
you
Married
are
with
tripping.
That's the guy from Modern Family who's in Married with Children.
Who?
The old dude.
Oh yeah, that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get I like sitcoms. I just get them messed up sometimes.
Speaking of sitcoms, I also showed him the Goldbergs. You never seen it, you should watch that one. It's great. If you like 80s theme, yeah.
And it was inspired by me wanting to. We were watching Pluto. Pluto's a great service. I really like it. But they got Everybody Hates Chris. It was playing, and I remember watching that on Nick at Night because Nick at Night would run all these sitcoms that were a certain way, typical laugh track sitcoms, and then they'd run Everybody Hates Chris, which was felt totally different because one, there wasn't a dumbass laugh track. Well, it makes a difference because we have a live studio audience, and they, yeah. So they, ha 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 ha. How does that sound, you jackass?
Hey, Thomas, handle that.
Thomas, Thomas, go get him. Go get him, Thomas. All right. Anyway, God, I hate all the hecklers. They're a bunch of, our audience are they're morons. Our live studio audience, you out there listening on the airwaves, have access to things like the internet and technology. These are complete Stone Age people.
We really don't even know how they got here either. Like, we never invite these people. They just, it seems like they're always here, which is strange because we don't have a production crew or anything. Like we run this ourselves. We just have Thomas. He's like our only employee.
Yeah. But back to sitcoms. Goldbergs, yeah. Really funny show. And I think one thing boils it down to why it is because when I saw the ending of it, I don't mean the ending of the show, the ending of the production itself, it clicked. Happy Madison.
Yep.
They don't knock it out of the park every time, but they sure as hell knock it out of the park when they do. I mean, it all started with Happy Gilmore, and that's probably one of the best that they've made. And they made Little Nicky, and did they make Grown Up? Yeah, they made Grown Up.
Well, you didn't mention Billy Madison, which is the other namesake of the company.
Haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Billy Madison?
I know.
What?
I know. Isn't the one where he goes back to school or something?
Yeah, he's a complete idiot in it.
Which one is he not a complete idiot in?
Well, he's like Tommy Boy levels idiot in this.
Good movie too. Rest in peace, Chris Farley. But yeah, okay. Happy Madison. No, yeah. Happy Billy Madison. I need to see that.
Enjoy the sounds of the McDonald's hash brown bag in the background, folks.
It be the scroll of the olden times that he is unfurling, not a McDonald's hash brown wrapper. But and I lost it. What were we talking about?
Happy Madison?
Happy Madison, excuse me, it's the nerve gas piling through the exhausts. It's starting to take a toll. Shut up. Whoever just fucking sneezed, shut up.
Thomas, you sneeze again, you're fired.
Thomas, don't make me put you back in the room. Anyway, if I can actually say something in edgewise, the one movie that I like, a lot of people give it crap. It is a weird movie, but That's My Boy with Vanilla Ice, and he's not the main character, but it's pretty funny. It's Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg, which, I mean, they have the same initials for their first and last name. They might be related. Who knows? Because that's how relatives work.
You brought up Vanilla Ice acting, and the only thing I can think of
is
the JonTron video of the movie he's in.
Yeah, Cool as Ice.
Yeah,
Cool as Ice.
oh
Yeah.
my, it's a Vanilla Ice action movie with ninjas and
Motorbikes. JonTron, man. Shout out to him. Great YouTuber. Been watching him since the early days.
Only thing it's missing is Marky Mark, for real.
It's Marky Mark. Every time I hear that, speaking of 420 special, hey Marky Mark, you like weed yet? I don't know. I just remember one of his first songs that I remember hearing was Good Vibrations. And like he at least mentions, if I had a nickel for every time he mentions that he's anti-drug on a rap song, I'd have about 2 nickels, but it's still a little fucking strange that he mentions it at all. I mean, we've all heard "Express Yourself." I don't smoke cess. Whatever I think that's something he says along those lines. Dr. Dre, come on, I call bullshit. Well, I remember back in school they had something called the Red Ribbon Week. Do you remember that?
Oh God,
the anti-drug week. It changes when you get older. It really does. Because in the elementary school ones are very weird because you can't exactly portray what drugs do because you have a child audience. So they give you weird interpretations of the basics of what drugs do.
It was always weird for me doing Red Ribbon Week because I was, in band, and while I'm out there playing these songs, all these cheerleaders doing these anti-smoking things and all this, I'm like, all through high school, dude, I'm blazing mad weed. Like, every day. I'm sitting here helping them play these songs, knowing damn well, as soon as school gets off, I'm going to go roll up.
And let me tell you the best part. Almost made me piss myself.
The best part was that one cheerleader that had her, never mind.
Never to be seen again. Tragic story. But the best part is that they would, one of the things, it was in the band, the Graveyard played the drums. Drumline, as it's usually referred to.
Gang shit.
And I played the saxophone, various types of saxophone. And one of the things, now we're going to play what it sounds like if they were on drugs, the band was on drugs. Now, it's funny in 2 ways, because about 2/3 of the band was, to some degree.
Yeah, totally.
And the second one is, hey, most bands sound a lot fucking better when they're on drugs. All right? A key example of that is The Great Southern Trendkill by Pantera. Phil loved him some heroin at that time. Boy, he made a great album. Glad he's better, I think. But it's just, whenever we play like wrong notes, we just honk on the horn or something. Because that's what I do. I just blow on my saxophone with no embouchure and just kind of, and I'm sure you just beat it like a Michael Jackson.
I miss those days sometimes.
It was fun in band. I miss the camaraderie of it. I sure don't miss the stress.
No, I don't miss driving 2 hours to some school out in the middle of nowhere.
And
Driving
hot
back,
as fuck, and
driving back at night, all sweaty in these uniforms.
tired, and there's always some bitches being way too loud on the
Everyone
bus.
smells like ass.
Everyone smells like everyone, especially some kids really, really smell like ass.
Yeah.
Now it's fucking because we always sat at the back of the bus. The back of the bus is where it's popping because drumline and low brass and some saxes hung out there. That was where the hangout spot was.
And you gotta know, if you're part of a band, you can't just like hang with the drum line either. Like,
No, the drum line is pretty picky on who they hang with. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, but in the same way, the flutes and to a lesser extent clarinets are like that.
well,
No,
yeah,
to a
but
greater extent clarinets.
they are
excuse me.
they are a greater extent, but that's just because no one wants to hang out with them but themselves.
Lord have mercy, ain't that the truth? Now there were some cool clarinets. Don't get me wrong, but I'm struggling to think of any cool flutes. I think one.
I can think of a couple. Yeah.
But I think the coolest section of people all together and have some pride if I mention your thing is either drumline or the trombones. Trombones had some cool people.
They had some dicks too.
They had some dicks, but the thing is they had a lot of cool people. Boy, they had some dicks. Baritone had some really, really great people, but they didn't have dicks. They had dumbasses.
The tubas were the worst.
Oh man, you ain't lying. But the saxes were woodwinds. It's not about dicks. It's about really uptight. Nope, cutting it. French horns. French horns are the most uptight.
Oh man,
Most uptight. Let me tell you why. It's because they have to force their lips into the strangest and most painful embouchure, and I'll give them that. And like French horn sounds good in one setting, and that's classical. And it was only really popular for some periods in music.
Yep.
So, I'm not the biggest fan of it unless it's used correctly. It's like at least it's not as bad as like an oboe.
Yeah.
And tonight we're featuring an oboe soloist. It's like that meme of the dude pulling up somewhere and he looks back and it's something and he just puts it in reverse. Looking back is going. That's exactly what I want to hear. Fucking oboe solo.
Oboe solos. Yeah, man. Everyone wants to hear that one, right?
But let's not forget about our band leader, our band director. The great guy,
man.
the great dude. I hope he's doing well. Haven't spoken to him in a while.
We don't do name drops here on the show.
We don't do name drops, but if you know, you know, and I really hope you're doing well, man. God. Mister, you know who you are. I'll put it to you that way. I'm not gonna call you man. I still got some respect for you. But it's weird. We don't really respect old people here on the 256 Boys show. Because I'll put it to you this way. We've worked in the service industry.
Yep.
We worked in the service industry.
Yeah. A lot of different times, a lot of different jobs.
A lot of different times, a lot of different jobs. And I personally, when we worked together, I personally was not serving. But you were.
Yep.
I was doing.
It was the absolute worst. See, I will say this. My mind has changed slightly on that topic just for the fact that the job I work now, it seems that the old people are always so nice. But I understand why they're so nice. It's because I fix their phone.
Yeah, of course. The guy play Candy Crush.
Yeah, they think that I'm a rocket scientist.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you do is that I remember I was a busser. And to see someone order one of the most expensive things on the menu, and it's a big plate of food, and then leave, not take home with them, leave 2/3 of it. Boy, that'll make you really dislike some people.
Oh yeah, I don't like that.
Oh yeah. Was that the worst job you had?
Oh, working at the OG?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It was Target.
Yeah, we will shout out some companies. Target, God Almighty.
Fuck Target.
Fuck Target. What a terrible and strange place. Uh, it's strange is really the correct word for it.
I mean, I'm sure that there's some Target stores that are fine to work at, but if you from where we from, you just don't want to work at that one. People hate their lives there.
Oh yeah, it is a complete cope atmosphere. You know, I'm not talking Copenhagen. I'm talking coping with your situation.
Yeah.
Um, but one of the coolest jobs I ever worked, but most stressful, was serving at a Thai place. Great food, but the atmosphere was harsh because I was the only server there at any given time. One of the worst parts about it, though, was the clientele. The clientele, like in Alabama, you know, Asian places are like, you know, either buffets with mid-grade food or sort of fancy eateries,
Or a whole ass fancy Japanese steakhouse.
but never Thai places. Never. There's one in a fancier city near us. Other than that, no. So the other problem is that we were right next to a Panda Express. So people would come in and expect to get, I don't know, teriyaki chicken or, you know, I really don't know. And they come in and look at the menu and they'd be like, I think we'll go to Panda Express. Leave. Get out of here. We don't want you if you're going to be that picky. If you're going to be a picky Vicky, see your ass out. But another thing we were talking about earlier is covers of songs. And I was just had it in my head, good and bad covers. Now, there are two kinds of bad covers in music. One is the totally misunderstand the source material cover. And the other one is you just suck. You just suck too much to cover that song.
Yeah.
Perfect example. I'm not the biggest Beatles fan, but I still respect them. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Pretty cool song. Dig it. But
well, you're not talking about Miley Cyrus's version, are you? Oh God.
And
oh God.
And Moby. I almost said Obi
Moby?
Trice. You know, he goes, Obi Trice, real name, no gimmicks. And then he's like, Moby, you can get
And Moby, you can get stoned by Obi.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Just like the little Limp Bizkit bastards. But just why? Then there's Britney Spears going out and doing These Boots Are Made for Walking.
Oh God.
Which is a good song. It's a decent song. I like how it's stripped back instrumentally, but to just overdo it and overblow it.
Can I mention a couple of songs that
Please
I think
do. Please
the
do.
covers are better than the original?
Please do.
Okay, the song "It's My Life." No Doubt.
Who originally wrote that song?
It's some '80s band, and when you hear them, it makes it sound like they're doing a cover, but it's just bad. It's god awful.
It's god awful.
It's god awful. The dude cannot sing worth a fucking shit. It's a man.
It's a man.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know.
He's so nasally, so bad.
So is Gwen Stefani.
Yeah, but it worked for her.
Yeah, because she has that really beautiful voice, but when it's nasally, when I pinch my nose down, walk into the spider webs, doesn't really work, you know.
And then Careless Whisper, Seether.
By Seether.
I love that song, and that's already a good song in general. George Michael's, great. Seether, that cover is just the best cover ever.
Is it the best cover of that song recorded? I mean, it's not that it was better what we heard. You remember what we heard when we saw that concert.
Yeah.
Aaron Lewis did if y'all know who Stained is, no, they're still making music. They got back together recently. Yeah. And their music is okay. It's a little updated for me, a little too updated for me. It's fine. I like that it's still
angsty.
I like it's still angsty. It's just they've evolved a little bit musically with the times, and it's strange, but I still like it. But anyway, before I get off topic, Aaron Lewis, he was doing his country stuff. So I think he did a set of country, and then he kept drinking throughout the night, and progressively as he got more drunk, he just was like, all right, I'm pulling out the guitar, and he'd shoot his band off, and he just sat on a stool and played Careless Whisper,
Everlong, 2 Stained songs. That's the only ones that I remember.
Yeah.
But his cover of Everlong's really good. If they were to, because Aaron Lewis is kind of famous for acoustic covers, because they even included 4 of them in their greatest hits album. To varying degrees of quality.
Oh yeah.
No, varying degrees in small doses because they're all good. It's just
Well, some of them are live. So
they're all live.
They are. Yeah, they
On the
are all live
greatest
covers.
hits.
Yeah, that's right.
There's
I didn't think about
three
that.
covers and 1 song they wrote, but it's just acoustic. Nutshell, Sober, and Comfortably Numb.
Yep.
Which Comfortably Numb is really it's not better than the original. That'll take a miracle.
Excuse the cough, ladies and gentlemen. We were smoking.
Yeah, and Graveyard J also has this lung disease. It's called itis, and he'd rather not disclose how it feels. Feels like shit. I'll disclose it for him.
Yeah.
His lungs literally tried to come out of his chest yesterday, like the thing in Alien coming out of the dude's stomach, and I had to tell it, no, get back in there, and it went. What?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of more covers, and it's just not coming to my head.
Yeah. I'll throw in one, and this is hard to do, really hard to do. In fact, it's only marginally better. Painkiller. Marginally better.
It is marginally better. You know who also does a really good cover of that song?
Who?
I just heard the other day.
Who?
Sabaton.
That'll be a miracle if it's actually good.
It is, and believe it or not, Sabaton is actually they're going to be at the BBC with Judas Priest in a couple of weeks. You're where we're from, you know what the BBC is. But.
Yeah. The Vascular Brain Center. But yeah, I Death does the best cover. Judas Priest did originally. However, I will say Judas Priest is a little bit better than the playing department because simply the guy from Death can't play the guitar parts as fast as Judas Priest guitars.
Yeah.
Only a little bit, but you can tell it's not as fast.
They could definitely play it as fast though. I think they just did it the way they did.
They did it a little bit under tempo.
Slightly.
Yeah. Because I think they just wanted for the melody to breathe.
I mean, Death was not known for being necessarily fast music, but they could be fast.
Yeah, they would have fast parts. No, they didn't really. It's hard to describe because metal. Here's something interesting about metal: the drumming can be very fast, but it can still be slow. The music can be slow. As long as those guitars are chugging, then it's slow.
Yeah. I mean, that can be pretty fair. These can get chuggy, slow, whatever.
Yeah, it's just like black metal and death metal. The drums will. It's not like thrash, where thrash is focused mainly on speed
For the most part.
and I think that's where death
Speed
metal
mixed with technicality, I feel like it's thrash.
and that's where if you want a good example of thrash going death, just look at Cannibal Corpse's first and second album. Eaten Back to Life, I think, is the name of the first album. Is a thrashy record in small ways, but then Butchered at Birth is just really brutal and heavy. Even though there are fast parts to it. My brother likes Cannibal Corpse enough. It's not one of his favorite death metal bands.
I'm not a huge fan of Cannibal Corpse. When it comes to death metal, I like some of the more modern death metal, except for like Death, of course.
And In Flames.
Yeah, In Flames.
Their death metal stuff.
Yeah, it's harder for me to see them as death metal, but
I would see them
certainly.
as death metal for, I don't know, what would you say, 4 albums?
Maybe somewhat.
I mean, there's a definite shift. And I think it really starts with Reroute to Remain. That's the big shift, but Clayman.
I feel like
before that.
Clayman is actually a pretty big shift because they start being a little bit more
A
experimental.
little more speed metal. That's what I kind of like about it, is they, of course, I know you slightly prefer their newer stuff, not newer
Slightly.
stuff, not newer
newer,
stuff,
but kind of in the middle.
kind of in the middle. I know it's slightly, but
Once you hit a sense of purpose, that's where it really you've definitely hit the big shift. And it happens before that, but by then you know that it's stuck.
I would say their last good album, and good's not great. Good can be okay, and that's Sirens. Their last good album was Sounds of a Playground Fading.
Yeah.
That's got Deliver Us and Walking Where the Dead Ships Dwell. That one.
I thought Battles was ass.
And it's really sad to see one of your favorite bands change so much. Shinedown is probably the most insulting
Shinedown
example.
just hurts me.
It's the most
honestly.
insulting example. And insulting, I'm not them. Maybe that's not the right word to use, but it feels like they're alienating their audience.
I mean, we used to have songs like Sound of Silence, Enemies, and now they're making just bitch music. Really shitty dance rock. It fucking pisses me off.
What rock?
Dance rock.
Dance
Shitty
rock.
dance rock.
Dance rock. That's
They're
a
trying-
weird term.
They're trying to get people to bebop and shit out there. I don't want to fucking do that. I don't want to
Bebopping.
be angry.
I don't want to bebop. I don't want to hear any music that makes me bebop.
Yeah. Nobody does. Man.
Yeah, wasn't that one of the motherfuckers from Ninja Turtles? No, thank you. Yeah. Bebop and Rocksteady. Were you ever big into Ninja Turtles?
Not nearly as much as when I was a little kid. I don't know where it really dropped off. When I was really young, I was huge into it. My aunt, I got to experience. I feel like one of the reasons I'm probably an old soul is because I used to get babysitted by my aunt a lot, and my older cousin's like in his fucking 40s or something nearly now. He grew up in the 80s and stuff, so he had a lot of cool 80s stuff that I got to play with when I was younger in the early 2000s. She had a SNES that still worked, and it had
Great console.
it had Donkey Kong Country
Hard
1
game.
and 2. There was Killer Instinct. There was
Never
the
played
Super
that
Mario
one.
Brothers collection.
All Stars.
Yeah, All Stars.
Yeah.
So I got to play all these great games and experience them. These old games. Super Metroid was on there. Super Punch Out.
I know about Mike Tyson's Punch Out on the NES. What's Super Punch Out?
It was the SNES. Punch Out.
So that was when Lil Mac got to be more of the central part.
It wasn't Little Mac in it.
What am I thinking of?
I don't
Was
know.
that the same thing?
No.
Lil Mac comes into Punch Out at some point.
He was in the first Punch Out. But Super Punch Out's its own little
He's
title.
in the Wii Punch Out.
Yes, he is in the Wii Punch Out.
But you in Punch Out, yeah. Mike Tyson is okay. As we are recording this to this day, we are April, May, June. We are 2 months away from the supposed alleged fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Now it's booked and everything, but I say supposed and alleged because do you think this is going to be a fight? A fight? I mean, it's already boxing, so it's the word fight is already a little debatable.
It's debatable nowadays, sadly.
Yes. Okay. Let me rephrase that. It's debatable nowadays.
Because, one of the terms used to be that, you play sports, but you don't play boxing. And nowadays it's starting to feel like you're playing boxing. It's not that way with MMA. Sometimes you do have some just bullshit MMA matches where they feel like they're playing. But then perfect example, just the other night, Max Holloway completely knocked Justin Gaethje's block off, and he didn't have to. He already won the round.
Yeah.
But he wanted to set it in stone.
Not to make Justin sound like a fool.
He's not. No, he's not. Nothing against Justin. I have nothing against Justin. But even though I did want Max to win, I'm a huge Max fan.
Me
but
too.
that's aside the point. The point I'm trying to get across is that what they did was fighting. There was
Yes.
no playing in that.
Yeah.
They were bloodied, beaten, bruised.
Yeah.
That's not, you can call it a combat sport, and that's fair, but you can't just call it a sport. It's not a sport. You play sports. You don't play mixed martial arts.
And I'll put another thing in there. I think it's a well-known fact that boxing is kind of shady, right? And,
Absolutely.
And people are like, oh, there's shady and weird stuff happening in MMA. Yeah, maybe in the 2000s and the 90s. These are different times. And I'll tell you where most of the problems and weird stuff comes from is ref incompetence.
Yep.
That's a big part of it. It's not some weird conspiracy to have bad calls or early or late stoppages.
That's a bad thing through all the years, but it's definitely arguably way worse when MMA started because they didn't
Jesus
even really
Christ.
know the rules yet.
No, I
they were
mean,
still making them.
I mean, you're not a fan of old UFC. I can solidly say that you're not when in the 90s. It
No.
comes in a little bit later in the 2000s.
And maybe this is me sounding like a bitch, but I hate seeing some of those moments where some dude is getting his brain caved in and the ref's just standing there. Like,
yeah,
yeah, maybe y'all didn't know what y'all were doing yet, but this dude is literally legally murdering this guy in front of you, and you're the only person that has the ability to stop it.
yeah.
Do your fucking job.
Little deep cut reminds me of his Patrick Smith's first fight in UFC 2, first pay-per-view televised fight. Now, they had some prelims before it. There were qualifying rounds, but Patrick Smith, there's this guy from Texas, and he practices quote-unquote American ninjutsu. Yeah, and but Patrick Smith's a straight-up kickboxer, and Patrick Smith gets him on the ground, he hits him really fucking hard and crumples him, and he's taking his elbow, and he's caving his head in, and the ref is like running through Family Guy funniest moments in his fucking head, just dicking around.
I don't remember the dude's name, but it was in like the first UFC where he got him in the crucifix and he starts.
That's not the first. That's UFC 6 or 5. Gary Goodridge gets Paul Herrera in a crucifix, and you want to know the story behind that?
I actually hate watching that video. I hate seeing that happen just because of how many times he hits him. It's unreasonable.
Admittedly, when I first started as a total mark, I thought it's badass. Now I see I'm tired of seeing it too. It's just it's sad. But here's the story behind it. You may not know this. So there's a story that Gary Goodridge's camp spied on Paul Herrera's training. Like saw him like just passing by. I don't think it was a constructed effort, and saw that Paul Herrera was going to shoot for a takedown instantly. So Gary Goodridge had his takedown defense locked and loaded to begin with. Paul Herrera was fucked and set up from the get-go, from the word go. I hope that... he's probably dead by now. I mean, anyway, that's the thing about UFC, early UFC stuff. CTE is now only really starting to come into the forefront. Gary Goodridge, perfect example of someone with really bad CTE, but he's doing a real brave thing, and he's getting out there and talking about it. He's on video. He's on YouTube. It happens, and it's a sad. It happens less now, unless refs are just dumb. And I think at that point, the commentary table
it happens less.
Screams.
It happens less until you fight Francis Ngannou, and he hits you.
But there's no
like
chance.
You hit Alistair, and your brain gets bounced around about 36 times, and you're done.
Yeah. Like when Freddy plays pinball with Jason in Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, Francis Ngannou is a really, really heavy hitter, and I'm sad that it didn't work out for him in boxing. No, I may be speaking a little too soon, but he did get slept by Anthony Joshua. But it's not a big bad thing to get slept by Anthony Joshua. That's not a
bad thing because it's Anthony Joshua we're talking about.
Yeah, and everyone agrees he won that Fury fight.
But let's say this too. Francis is one of those few dudes that it's hard to count anyone out of a fight in MMA. But you can never, ever do that with Francis because he's one of those dudes that you can say with 100% confidence, if he hits you with the right punch, you're out.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
That's a term thrown around a lot, and it's kind of a marked term.
That used to be true with Conor in his prime, and I don't find it as true anymore.
He's going to fight Chandler, it's confirmed now, and I'm not looking forward to it.
But Francis has the ability to knock out anybody on the planet. If he gets you with the right one, you're gone. It's over.
Who's always had that power? Mike Tyson and Francis Ngannou.
Francis has that.
Butterbean.
Butterbean, yeah.
I will put that in. Not technical. Not a very technical guy.
Kimbo.
But his Kimbo, yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Chuck Liddell's
a little more technical than some of these guys.
Now, very, very untechnical, but I still think he's got crazy, maybe not now, but Tank Abbott, I'll put him in there.
Roy Nelson used to do it to you.
Jesus Christ. Big Country had crazy hands.
Yeah, Big Country used to do it.
Now, not to move body parts, but let's talk about Anderson Silva's elbows.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's just talk about Anderson Silva's Muay Thai in general.
Yeah, his Muay Thai is great. Is really, really great.
As far as UFC goes, he's arguably one of the best Muay Thai practitioners. I feel like Donald Cerrone is up there. Now, with that being said, I still don't think they're on the level of someone like Buakaw. But that's about as high level as Muay Thai could ever get.
When you're not talking about one.
Yeah, when you're not talking about one.
Because one, I mean,
When
Jonathan.
When you become a true fan of MMA, you start to realize that ONE FC is the true home of mixed martial arts. UFC is just the biggest name, and I don't have problems with UFC necessarily. I still enjoy watching it, but
I have problems with Dana White.
But there's things that ONE really gives you. And ever since I've gotten into MMA, I've become more of a fan of combat sports in general. I mean, I'm a big fan of watching karate fights now. I love watching a good karate fight. Benson Henderson the other day was fighting Anthony Pettis. Great fucking fight. Great karate match. Super awesome. Loved watching it.
Something that's set to happen soon. Jonathan Haggerty's going to fight Superlek. So Superlek beat Rod Tang in kind of a controversial decision last year. But, however, BKFC is really doing it. I like that. I like watching it. You have to box a completely different way because you don't have gloves to protect yourself.
Bare knuckles fun to watch. Tom Perry is
Mike Perry. Mike Perry's the king.
Mike Perry is shining.
That's the popular answer, but he is the king.
He is.
He's a complete nutcase. I think that helps him out because he is a total nutcase. The video of him screaming at that guy during a weigh-in is still.
He's one of those nutcases that you actually love, though. But he doesn't seem like he's just a total asshole. He's just crazy.
And who is the king of that in MMA? You know who I'm talking about.
Tony Ferguson? Of what?
Of being the asshole.
Being the asshole?
Being
Conor
asshole.
McGregor?
Think older.
Older.
Ken Wayne Shamrock.
Shamrock. I almost said Tito Ortiz, but yeah, Ken Shamrock is definitely that guy.
Hey, at least I can say Tito was a decent fighter. I mean, Ken Shamrock was a decent fighter. He was a tough guy. He's a tough guy. I'll say that.
Hold on now. I think I know who the real king asshole is. But we love him.
Who?
Come on, think about it.
Let me think for a second.
The king ass. Who always beefs harder with anybody? It's just always stray beef.
I'll tell you one I don't like is Colby Covington. Fuck that guy.
It's not him.
Help me out.
The American Gangster, Chael Sonnen.
I mean, yeah, it's like it lives rent free in my head, that moment where he was about to fight Anderson Silva. Anderson was the champ, and Chael was carrying around a champion belt the whole time in interviews. He was carrying that shit around, and he was on ESPN, and the dude was like, Anderson Silva's the champ. And he's like, that's debatable. He's like, where'd you get that belt? It's not.
That's debatable.
He's like, that's not your belt.
Chael, I love you, man, but it wasn't debatable. He was the champion.
But he had the belt on him.
But I love that you stick with it. That's why I love you.
And he said, like, that's not your belt. Chael looks at the belt, looks back at the guy, and said, well, who's you supposed to be? Chael Sonnen is one of those guys that got fights booked not solely on his mouth, because he was a decent fighter. But do you think he was a GOAT fighting wise?
He is a really good fighter. We can't deny that
I think he's a really great wrestler.
One of the best wrestlers UFC's probably ever had.
Okay. Who's the best?
The best wrestler? Daniel Cormier.
Daniel Cormier?
It's fucking DC.
Okay, can I throw in maybe DC? Second place goes Matt Hughes.
Okay, Matt Hughes is good. I think Matt Serra is a better wrestler.
Matt Serra.
But I'm just going to say this. Matt Hughes could have fought in the same division as Daniel Cormier, and I still feel like Daniel Cormier would have bullied him. Like, he bullied pretty much everybody except for John Jones.
And he did bully John Jones bullied him in different ways.
John Jones did bully him in different ways, but you can't deny that. John Jones bullies everybody.
Hey, pussy, you still there? And then, like, almost on autopilot, not knowing.
I'm here.
It's like, are you gay? Does your mom know you're gay? Question.
It's fucked up, too, because I feel like Daniel Cormier only did that because he's just so actually wholesome, for real.
One of my favorites is John's like, I'm going to murder you. I'm going to actually kill you. And DC, rather ramping it up, goes, John, we're in a public place with cameras and witnesses. You're not going to kill me. It's like the dude from the Roadhouse remake who killed someone in the Octagon.
Sadly enough, I actually feel like John Jones would murder someone in a public space. That dude's crazy.
He totally would if you give him enough coke.
Feel bad for the guy that breaks into that guy's house.
Make him snort Ajax like the chicken Up in Smoke and see what he does. John Jones, if he did not have all that money, he'd be snorting Ajax off of crack hookers.
Even though I would be
Crack.
starstruck if this happened, if I ever saw John Jones in public, I would just walk in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I suppose I would too.
I don't want any possibility of him receiving me as a threat in any way.
I don't know if Bilal Muhammad walked towards me with his fucked up eye. I think I'd walk the other way. In my opinion, I wish UFC would give him more of a chance, but because I feel like they don't book him enough. But then again, what is he? Bantam? No,
No, he's higher than Bantam.
he's middleweight, right?
He's either middleweight or lightweight. But
I just
don't know.
whatever division he's in, I know there's just better people in that division, and we're
division is kind of slept on in general.
we're
I feel
living
like.
in a good roster time right now, except flyweight is really kind of. I'm tired of seeing Alexandra Pantoja and Brandon Royval fight. I'm tired of it.
And by the way, if you listen to UFC and you're listening to the show, if you don't like Sean O'Malley, get the fuck out of here because we love Sean O'Malley.
We do
here
love
at
Sean
After
O'Malley.
Hours.
That was. I think he's a great champ, and he's already shown himself to be a decent champ. He avenged his only loss in a wonderful fashion. And Cheeto was
fucked
salty.
Cheeto Vera
Cheeto
up.
was salty after he pulled a Ronda Rousey and was just real salty
He
about his
beat
loss.
Cheeto Vera's ass.
I've never seen someone have such good defense with their face. It's crazy. You're not Chuck Liddell. You don't have that crazy chin, dude.
I love that Sean O'Malley isn't always trying to put all this power into his moves either. He's really, really good at saving his energy. Because he's technical and what's the word?
Patient.
Patient, but
Methodical.
what's unorthodox.
He is unorthodox.
He's technical and unorthodox in a great mix.
Shout out to all the
Because
dumbasses who say Sean Strickland's unorthodox. He's just retarded.
he's got great defense and he throws these things you just don't see coming. The combos he'll throw, the fake outs.
Fake outs, yeah.
He will fake out some ridiculous spin kick, not even throw it, and all of a sudden you've got a right coming at you. Clock. That's it, bud.
Coming at you, all you hear is, "Oh Lord, I can't change," and it just knocks the shit out of you. I remember when my brother and I were at work and Sean won the championship. We marked the hell out. We just popped big time.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
crazy.
I knew it was going to happen. I had been watching that dude
I
from
was
the beginning.
nervous.
Before he ever had colorful hair or anything, I remember seeing him on the Contender Series, and I said, that guy is going to be champion one day. And what do you know? I was fucking right.
Yeah. One fighter I've been watching for a while just do his thing, and I have Fight Pass and I love it. And that's the only thing I'll ever give Dana White. Screw him. I'm not paying for him to get more car grease for his shiny head. That orange shit you put on your car and wipe with a rag, and it just really like glows and shit. But ladies and gentlemen, just like Dana White's hairline, we're out of time.
We are out of time. This has been the 420 special. We've been very happy to be here with you. We've been a little bit drunk, a little bit stoned. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for tonight. We love you.
Peace.